Welcome Ghosties to the ancient Ram Inn in Gloucestershire. The Ram Inn is thought to date from around 1145, and it's been suggested that the workmen who built the parish church opposite were lodged here. For a time it served as a priest house before converting to an inn. The last pint was pulled in 1968. Once it had closed for business, John Humphreys purchased the building from the brewery. He fought a battle to save the historic structure right up until his death in 2016, irrespective of the endeavours by former residents to interfere as much as possible. The Bishop's Room, one room I will never, so long as I live, ever set foot in that room ever again if I ever go back. A medium pushing open its door was once lifted off the ground and flung across the corridor. A ghostly cavalier has also been known to materialise by the dressing table, which funnily enough is the last night I went in December. We weren't talking, I was trying to teach my group how to do dowsing rod, and then we heard something hit something and we thought it was a piece of stone hitting the floor. Turns out it was the marble hitting the dressing table. That video is on my profile. I'll repost the video for you. Two monks have been seen shimmering in one corner. Witnesses have heard the terrified screams of a man who was reputedly murdered here by having his head thrust into the fire. Now we think that is the bishop, and if you ever go into the bishop's room, there is a portrait next to the door on the left hand side of the bishop. I will not go back in here because of that portrait. Now at 6 a.m. the day of the investigation, I screamed myself awake while my husband came running in panicking because he thought something bad had happened and one of my cats had run off the bed. And all I remember of this dream was it was a hooded monk. The hood was up, but where his face should have been, there was nothing. And then it rushed at me, and that is all I remember, and that's when I screamed myself awake. That portrait during the investigation then enticed me in, and I stood staring at it for about a good couple of minutes before one of my team members noticed, literally had to pull me away from it. The whole rest of that night, every time I went to the toilet, which is opposite the bishop's room, I was getting dragged back in. I felt like that portrait was enticing me, and it felt like it was going, come in and stare at my portrait so I can have your soul. Yeah, it was that kind of energy. A phantom shepherd and his dog have been seen near the door, whilst those who spend the night in the room have often attracted the lustful attentions of either an incubus or a succubus. And an innkeeper's daughter is said to have been murdered in the roof space in the early 1500s. You can get up there, you just can't get to this particular roof space. And people attempting to sleep in the bishop's room below often hear the sound of something heavy being dragged across the floor above their head. There's also the graveyard room where the actual bar used to be. To me it looks like a cellar, but there have supposedly been dowsing rods used to find the bodies of two children, but they haven't actually dug it up to see if there's any bones buried in there. And then there's the witch's room. The reason it's called a witch's room, I believe, is because a lady who was supposedly a witch was murdered in there. The nursery, so far have not spent actually any time in the nursery apart from just walking through, standing in there a couple of minutes. The lounge downstairs has a mummified cat that John found behind one of the walls. When I've been in the attic, I felt as if the floorboards, as if someone was walking behind me, which is pretty much impossible because my head was at the top of the roof. And that is the ancient Ram Inn. Let me know in the comments if you guys have ever experienced anything, and if there's any particular rooms. I would love to know and maybe do more videos on it. Okay, bye!